You know, we're all living in this world that's just obsessed with likes and pretending we don't care. But what if the secret to actual happiness was figured out 2,400 years ago? Today, we're going to use Aristotle's ancient wisdom as a super practical guide to break free from that like culture and find something real. Let's dive in and see what he has to say. So, does this hit close to home? In our culture, being chill, being unbothered, it feels like the safest move. It's kind of like this emotional insurance policy we all take out so we don't get hurt or, heaven forbid, look like we're actually trying too hard. We act like we don't care to dodge any chance of failure or judgment. But let's get real for a second. Is this constant performance of not caring actually making any of us happy, or is it just trapping us in this vicious cycle of feeling insecure, running on empty, and then boom, total burnout? Yeah, it's probably the latter. So, how do we actually get out of this mess? Well, here's our game plan. First, we're going to pick apart this whole not caring trap. Then we'll dive into two really powerful Greek ideas about happiness, hedonia and eudaimonia. After that, we'll learn about the art of soul care, find our own personal sweet spot with something called the golden mean, and finally, we'll build a practical routine to put it all into practice. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the not caring trap. So what happens when that cool, chill persona we've built starts to crumble? A lot of the time, we fall right into the trap of superficial wellness. Reaching for those quick fixes that promise to make us feel better, but don't actually solve anything deep down. We're basically just chasing little hits of pleasure to numb out the bad feelings. And here's where it gets really interesting. On one hand, you've got what we call self-care. Face masks, bath bombs, the whole thing. They're nice, but they're just temporary escapes. But Aristotle, he was all about soul care. And this isn't about numbing yourself. It's about actively designing your life by focusing on what actually matters in the long run, your character, who you are, and the impact you have on the world. And that whole idea of soul care leads us perfectly into our next section. To really get it, we've got to look at two ancient Greek paths to happiness that people still mix up all the time: hedonia and eudaimonia. Okay, so first up is hedonia. Think of this as the endless chase for the quick fix. It's that sugar high from a donut or that little buzz you get from a notification on your phone. It's all about getting that immediate pleasure and avoiding any discomfort. The only problem? It never, ever lasts.
And then you have eudaimonia. Now, this is the big one. It literally means good soul. And this isn't just a fleeting mood, it's a way of being. It's about genuine human flourishing that comes from a lifelong practice of living with purpose and virtue. It's that deep, lasting satisfaction of a life you're proud of.
This chart just lays it all out so clearly. Look, hedonia is short-lived, it comes from outside stuff like likes and junk food, and it's basically a low-effort shortcut. But eudaimonia, that's sustained. It comes from your own inner character, and yeah, it takes real effort in aiming for worthwhile goals. The takeaway here is huge. One's a temporary escape, the other is a way of life. So if eudaimonia, that real deep flourishing, is the goal, how in the world do we get there? Well, that brings us to Section 3, the art of soul care. To Aristotle, flourishing isn't just some lucky accident, it's an art. And the way we practice this art is by building specific virtues right into the core of who we are. And he actually breaks it down into 3 types. First, you've got technical virtue. That's the amazing feeling you get from mastering a skill, whether it's cooking a great meal or writing code. Second, there's moral virtue. Just the simple practice of being a good person, being kind. That's what really defines you. And finally, theoretical virtue. Just being curious and pursuing knowledge for the pure wonder of it. That is the ultimate cure for apathy. Okay, so practicing virtue sounds amazing, right? But how do we actually apply it in our messy, real, everyday lives? That's where we get to Section 4, and Aristotle's most practical tool of all, finding your golden mean. The golden mean is basically the sweet spot between two extremes, doing too little of something or doing way too much. But here's the key. It's not some strict average. It's a balance that's totally unique to you. What's brave for me might be reckless for you. It's all about finding your personal middle path. Let me show you an example. So let's take the virtue of courage. On one end of the spectrum, you have the deficiency, which is cowardice. This is when you run away from every single challenge, every risk. Right there in the middle, that's the virtue itself, the golden mean. This is real courage, taking smart, calculated risks for the right reasons and facing challenges head-on. And then, all the way on the other extreme, you've got the excess, recklessness.
This is just taking pointless risks without even thinking about it. The whole goal is to live in that balanced, courageous middle.
Okay, so all of this incredible theory brings us to our final, and honestly our most important section, designing your routine. This is where the rubber meets the road. We're going to stop just talking about philosophy and start living it, turning these ancient ideas into our daily practice.
And here it is, a simple 4-step guide. Step 1, pick one area of your life you want to work on. Step 2, choose one virtue that connects to it. Maybe it's compassion, maybe it's moderation. Step 3, define what the golden mean for that virtue actually looks like for you. And step 4, and this is so important, plan one small, totally doable action you can take every single day to practice it.
Because at the end of the day, this is the ultimate lesson from Aristotle. Flourishing isn't something that just happens to you if you get lucky. No way. It's a design. It's something you actively build, choice by choice, habit by habit, day after day. You are the architect of your own good soul.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to really think about. This isn't about some massive life overhaul overnight. It's about starting small. So, what's the one virtue you'll start practicing in one small way starting today?